Cats, Cops, and C4. Specialist Barnabas, there's a guest here to see you. Linda's desk speaker chimes out as she activates it. I'm at least mildly paranoid as well. This is too soon for, well, Linda says, and Cenk nods as all three of them head to the front. There's a synthetic man in a very much off-the-shelf body, not an expensive one either. No real face, no moving mouth parts, nothing beyond basic shape and articulation. He is in an undaunted uniform, but those can be faked. Even calling the entity he is a bit of a stretch. It simply has no sexual characteristics. It very much has the sensation of a practice or extremely cheap synthetic body. Specialist Barnabas, good to see you. Also, as I'm sure you'll be glad to know, we're learning from this case. We have retrieved some information and are passing it to you to do what you want with it. The synthetic Undaunted says. So, what is this? Cenk asks, as he takes the packet the man offers him and gesturing to the synthetic body. Remote body work. This is just a training platform, getting used to a body's feedback loops and such. It's possible for drone starships and drone projections into hostile territory to get work done. Kinda makes the physical training seem a little redundant. Cenk mocks him, and the prosthetic body tries to smack him with a pair of fingers, and it's deflected. The man then tries again and again and again before Cenk gets distracted, grinning at him, and receives a light punch in the chest. There's more than just building muscle in those exercises. The soldier replies and Cenk nods. Fair enough, reflexes and balance are important. Still, how's the feedback from that thing? It's okay. Weird though, I can see why it's not popular. Better than Axiom puppeteering a Genejack though. That shit is clumsy, uncomfortable, and leaves you feeling dirty even when you do everything right. The soldier states. I'll take your word for it. Who the hell am I talking to anyways? Cenk asks, and the prosthetic body holds up a pair of fingers, moves them in a circle, then quickly jerks them apart. Cenk swats it on the head as he chuckles. And fuck you again for that smartass, he says, and the prosthetic chuckles. Oh, by the way, we have another thing to test, but you need to hold on to it until we send a runner to pick it up. What is it? Cenk asks, and the prosthetic pulls out a strange communicator. It's even chunkier than the extra resilient ones the Undaunted use. It's about the size of a brick. And that is? Will you be taking command of this item after I have used it? The soldier asks. Yes, Laszlo, I will. Now, what is it? Cenk asks. I told you, it's Las. Anyways, it does this, Laszlo says, holding the device over his head. It opens up and he lets go of it. It absorbs him as it falls to the floor and clatters there before snapping shut. Cenk blinks and picks up the device. Its screen lights up and confirms that the transfer was complete. His communicator goes off and he puts it on speaker. I really hope this is Laszlo with an explanation on speaker. Laz, for the love of God, man, call me Laz. You're going to have to make me, Cenk replies. That can be arranged. You still have the particle transfer box? Laszlo asks and Cenk chuckles. Yes. Is there a reason this isn't used with flesh? It's kind of like the Star Trek transporters in that it rips things apart at the atomic level, then pastes it back together on the other side. It's legally murder to transport a person this way. But a remote-piloted drone? Hold that sucker out. Cenk does so, and the device pops open again. He points the opening away from himself. What emerges this time isn't a little off-the-shelf drone, but a massive combat form that resembles a Terminator crossbred with a suit of power armor. As it turns, it finds a plasma pistol shoved right into its optical sensors. Oh, relax. The drone is big and scary but unarmed. This is just to show you that with this new toy we can project all sorts of combat robotics all over, Laszlo says. Dude, I understand that we're testing all sorts of new toys all hours of the day. I've got some myself, and as hypocritical as this sounds, this is not the place for that. We have injured officers, a criminal mastermind outright fucking with us, and more people are being shifted on and off the case as the Shroud makes this more and more personal to more and more of us, Cenk says as he holsters the plasma pistol. Laszlo's prosthetic head moves around and scans the nearby area, counting the dozens of sidearms and full-on rifles being put away. Most are non-lethal, but not all of them. Fair point, but you see the advantage, right? We just need to miniaturize these things a bit, or even incorporate them into the drones, and we've got a way to rapidly project power without risking soldiers. Laszlo states, and Cenk nods. Yes, but try not to do it in the middle of a jumpy police station, Cenk says, and while Laszlo doesn't have facial expressions to look contrite, he still has enough body language to do so. Is there any way that that thing looks like anything other than... Laszlo taps something on his neck and a hologram shuffles over the robotic face to show a blocky face with thick mutton chops and a heavy mustache. A tap on the shoulder and he looks like he's wearing a wool coat, frock, and suit. He's clearly still a robot, but he looks like... Are you seriously ripping off that Sherlock Holmes sci-fi cartoon? Cenk demands in a deadpan. Maybe, Laszlo responds. How's the tactical feedback on your prosthetic? Fairly good. Good, Cenk replies before moving and smacking the robot in the back of the head with a hollow ringing sound. Dumbass! Coming from the man that just damn near broke his damn hand, Laszlo asks in a slightly stunned tone. How stupid are you? Well, I could have used Axiom and ripped the robot head off, but I wanted to see if I could smack some sense into you remotely. Cenk remarks. Oh my God, Laszlo says, covering his holographic face with a still clearly reinforced robotic hand. Do weird things like this happen regularly on the Dauntless? One of the officers asks. Oh, this doesn't even come close to weird. We've been keeping non-humans well away from certain parts of the ship because, dear God, things would get bad. The last food fight was amazing, Laszlo remarks as he chuckles. It also would have been lethal for most races to be within 30 meters of that mess hall, especially after some of the things got aerosolized. The Admiral was so mad, Laszlo says, with further chuckles. All right, so you've shown off the new toy and offered some evidence. Are you hanging out still due to inertia, or... I'm also here to answer any questions had. I've been fully briefed on the bit I've brought you, Laszlo says. Also, I'm still testing out this system. It's working great, but if it breaks down, I'll just call via communicator. If we didn't have regenerative comas returning injured soldiers to full working order, this would be a great way to get them back on the field. Cenk notes. Among other things. Anyways, are you going to crack the evidence? I'm too close to the case now, so no. I'm turning it over to the chief instead. Thank you, Chief Bowman says, reaching for the package and taking it. She opens it up. 2 data chips and a handwritten report. Get this down to the lab and give me a write-up of its contents 10 minutes ago, ladies. At her command, an assistant takes the folder and rushes off. She puts her hands in her pockets and looks up to gauge Laszlo's face. Do you humans enjoy causing problems? Let's be fair. The problem is the lunatic playing games with the lives of others. Humans are complicated, but we're not trying to make things worse, usually. Cenk justifies. I'm sure. All right, humans and associated lunatics in my office, please. Let's sort the mess, she says. And Cenk is the first to follow her, with Linda right next to him and a casual Vera being in the middle as Laszlo is in the rear, taking in the sights of the station for his first visit. Chief Bowman's expression is grim as she enters the office and gets into her chair. A press of the button on her desk has a bit of baffling technology kickoff, and it does nothing to Laszlo's control of his drone, which means that, in all likelihood, some proton has been used in its construction, or at least in its control method. Okay, humans, no nonsense, no double-speak. How much are you interfering with this investigation, and how much danger is this going to put my girls in? Nothing from me. I've declined to report as the ongoing situation is still evolving and any information I give would be immediately proven inaccurate by the time I finish giving it, Cenk says, and Bowman turns her gaze right onto Laszlo. The man is hundreds of kilometers away and behind numerous bulkheads, and he still leans back a little at that gaze. Are you even in a position to lean back? No, and that's what has me confused. I'm lying on a couch that's basically a set of cushions on a big computer core with a bit of proton to transfer everything, Laszlo remarks as he shuffles a bit uncomfortably and settles himself. Our own investigations are currently observation and hands-off. We haven't broke any laws, at least. We haven't until someone notices the spies everywhere and makes a stalking accusation. Then we're in some trouble. All right, so if it's something that was retrieved without hacking, invasion of privacy or breaking and entering, or coercion, or the planting of evidence, or a threat of violence, or it's just observation so far. Access to company records retrieved by formal request and observations from a public place to a public place with civilian-grade equipment. We haven't spoken to or even been seen by any of the people involved, Laszlo insists. All right, and formally you are? I am operative and engineer Laszlo Laz Cunningham. I work in the intelligence division of the Undaunted as an equipment operator and data analyst. This is a new piece of technology we're toying with and information we have retrieved with, admittedly dubious but entirely legal means. Equipment operator and data analyst? Chief Bowman asks. I mostly spend my days reading through files, thanking God for PT and training to break the monotony, and if I get lucky, I get to operate some camera drones. I may be technically a spy and a super soldier, but I got some of the boring jobs, Laszlo admits, and Chief Bowman snorts in amusement. Charm off 0010 head. She's married. Cenk remarks in a completely deadpan tone, and Vera snorts in amusement. All right, enough of the stupid competitions, humans. I want a summation of the information I've given to my analyst from you and any personal notes you may have about it. Certainly. In summation, the hostile known as the Shroud has proven to have political ambitions across a minimum of 22 spires. We suspect more, if not now, then later. We gained this observation by noting which politicians got calls on unusual hours before or after a potential Shroud event. We found a fairly wide pattern, and in a full fifth of them we have images taken from public security cameras that verify a figure wearing the Shroud's signature black hoodie was making the call from a public terminal, oftentimes with a basic, off-the-shelf prosthetic body wearing it, but sometimes it would be a young woman reading off instructions from a data slate. The woven web is impressive even if we only count those we have a confirmed Shroud contact with. Those with suspected contact triples the size. How far back have you traced the existence of the Shroud? We've found evidence going back at least 10 years, if not considerably longer. Their actions have grown bolder, more numerous, and far more aggressive the more time has passed. Effectively, their activity has outright doubled or tripled each year. They've only now reached the point where they're really active. Some of our analysts think that the previous years were testing the waters and developing a signature. Now they have a very firm grasp on things and a string of political favors long enough to either cause a great deal of chaos or a huge amount of backlash if and when they reveal their hand. So you're just confirming what we already know and letting us see that this is both bigger and longer. I'm not surprised the Shroud has been under the radar before now. Their initial actions were very low-case and not the sort of thing that grabs attention. We don't even have confirmation that the Shroud events were actually caused by the Shroud at the time, and they weren't just claiming credit for someone else's actions. Either way, they were claiming credit, which makes them accountable. 10 years of this? It's only in the past few months that they've stepped up their movements and began tightening their grip. It used to be 1 or 2 events a month on very different spires to spread out the details and sightings. Now, it's like they stopped caring. meaning something caused a change in pattern to embolden them. But what? It began shortly after we Undaunted showed up, so we may have some responsibility here. I see, now, where they inspired, or is this a confession? Inspired. I know that. We have evidence going back before your people left cruel space. I was just being clear, Laszlo says. As was I, Chief Bowman replies.